The stoppage of transit of gas through Ukraine at the end of a 5-year agreement between Ukraine and Russia is a pivotal moment for Europe, which has worked to cut its reliance on Russian energy since the start of the Ukraine-Russia conflict in 2022. While the immediate economic impact is minimal, its geopolitical consequences could exacerbate divisions within the European Union, testing the bloc's unity in its support for Ukraine. Jessica Taneja reports from New Delhi.
Gazprom's final scheduled delivery through Ukraine on Tuesday marks the end of a transit system that had persisted despite nearly 3 years of war. Once a cornerstone of Europe's energy infrastructure, the transit route has dwindled in importance, with Russia's share of EU gas supplies plummeting from 40% pre-war to just 8% in 2023. Alternative sources from the US, Qatar and Norway have largely compensated for the shortfall. However, the cessation of Russian gas flows from Ukraine raises broader questions about the EU's cohesion. Countries like Hungary and Slovakia, which continue to rely on Russian gas via other routes such as the Turk Stream, are seen as undermining the EU's collective push to eliminate Russia's energy dependence. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Slovakia of engaging in shadow agreements with Russia, highlighting tensions among neighboring states. Meanwhile, Slovakia's threats to cut power supplies to Ukraine have further strained relations. The European Commission has so far avoided direct involvement in brokering a new transit deal, instead emphasizing the bloc's success in diversifying its energy sources and maintaining high storage levels. Yet, this hands-off approach may leave room for discord to grow among member states. The economic implications of the halted transit are relatively limited compared to the geopolitical stakes. Gazprom will lose an estimated $5 billion in annual gas sales to Europe through Ukraine, while Kyiv will forfeit around $800 million in transit fees. These figures pale in comparison to the broader financial and strategic losses Russia has endured, including Gazprom's $7 billion loss in 2023, which was its first since 1999. For Ukraine, the end of the transit deal presents both risk and opportunity. Zelensky has signaled his unwillingness to allow Russian gas to transit through Ukrainian pipelines, emphasizing the importance of cutting financial flows that could fund Moscow's war efforts. However, halting transit could expose Ukraine's vast pipeline infrastructure to Russia's missile strikes, further jeopardizing the country's energy security during winter. For Europe, the Russian gas halt is unlikely to cause a repeat of the 2022 price spikes, given reduced reliance and sufficient reserves. But rising gas prices, which are now up 48% this year, continue to strain households and industries. As the region adjusts to the end of the Russia-Ukraine gas transit era, the challenge lies not only in maintaining energy stability, but also in preserving the unity that has defined Europe's response to Russian aggression. The cessation of transit flows may be a small step economically, but its impact on the EU's geopolitical cohesion could be profound. Jessica Taneja for DD India.
All right, and we'll be shortly joining with our correspondent Anil Thomas. Meanwhile, as the Russia-Ukraine conflict continues, Ukraine's military said on Tuesday that its forces hit a Russian oil depot in the western Smolensk region, setting fire to tanks storing oil products. Ukraine's general staff said the depot was used for military purposes. Smolensk region governor, he said that 10 Ukrainian drones were shot down by Russian air defenses, although the wreckage of one of them fell on the oil facility. According to the general staff, there were powerful explosions and thick smoke after the attack on Smolensk depot. In retaliation, Russia launched an aerial attack on Ukraine on Tuesday, striking the capital and other regions with multiple missiles and drones. Ukraine's Air Force reported a ballistic missile threat with at least 2 explosions heard in Kyiv minutes later. All right, and DD India's Anil Thomas joins us live. Hi Anil, a very good morning to you. Anil, can we say it's a complete loss of Russia's hold over the European gas market, and what's the latest you have on this?
LPG operates, especially in the European Union. World over, there are close to 500 billion cubic meters of, LPG that's being created every year. And one takes a look at Russia's contribution, that's close to purely in terms of, Russia giving it to other countries is roughly around 16 billion cubic meters every year. In that context, and the current position that this deal has burned out, not much purely in terms of, how EU countries face, especially Eastern European countries that are going to face the heat, Austria, Slovenia, along with Hungary that are facing the heat, because they all three are landlocked and, they are facing the heat because of this particular deal, losing its timeline there. But having said that, close to, one takes a look at 2022, 2023, purely in terms of just, supply that's done or gas supply that's been done by Russia, there has been a drastic fall from 16 billion purely in terms of revenue, 16 billion in 2023 to, almost 1 billion in terms of revenue for Russia in 2024. So the particular factor has been factored in, especially by the European Union.
True.
And I think though there is not much being said, and there are other ways in which still Russian gas reaches many European countries like Spain, France, Netherlands, even for that matter, Belgium, and even Germany. There are tankers through which this gas is being carried. So that still exists. But having said that, this particular deal surely, rather displaces the apple cart that European Union, the relationship, especially when it comes to gas and the dependency on Russia that is there. But purely look in terms of percentage. In the last 2 years since this war has begun, Russia's percentage in terms of gas supply has dropped almost to 15%. And America has stepped in with 19% of gas supply that's been done. Norway does roughly around 40% of the gas supply that the European Union needs. So, all in all, one takes a look at a picture, the geopolitical situation going from bad to worse. But purely in terms of how European Union will be able to balance this out, I think they have their problem very much sorted. The two countries, Austria seems to be almost out of this problem. They seem to have, got assurances that their problem, especially when it comes to the shortage of gas supply or, this particular gas supply that's stopped from the Russian angle, where do they get it filled from? They've got it sorted. The other two countries have taken two different approaches to facing this problem. One has been confrontational. One has said that if you don't give us supply, we're going to do this. The other has used different, they have rather used, I would say, something that's not seen in business. They have said before this gas supply hits Ukraine or the pipeline through which it's, supply of flowing into our country, we would buy the gas before that. So we are the owners of the gas. So we don't have the problem to be faced, or we rather don't face the problem when it comes to this gas supply in, belonging to Russia that's been carried through this particular transit line that's there in Ukraine.
Okay.
So it's been a mixed bag of approach that countries have done, especially when it comes to facing this problem. But purely from a geopolitical situation, this displaces the apple cart. But having said that, Russia would have also understood that this problem was not going away so easily.
Okay.
But purely in terms of retaliation that Russia can do, especially to the pipelines that exist in Ukraine, could be something that could be worrisome for the world.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, Anil.